Hey, what's happening? Who's that old timer that finally come to life? What's up, bud?
Hello.
It looks like we called each other.
Yeah.
I may have to go change, man. I can't go twinsies with you.
There you go. Excellent.
You can't let the old dudes run the technology.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm almost embarrassed to say how many times I've had to get my 8-year-old to figure things out for me as well. Hey, this is the Undertaker. I'm with Triple H and Shawn Michaels, two of my best friends, and we're here to discuss what went down.
This will be another hour of us trying to figure out the technology.
Most important thing, put me over.
Roger that.
Oh, you just wait.
So business as usual, right?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, the story I've heard over the years was this was an original idea that Michael Hayes had sort of pitched early on in regards to Undertaker and myself in this match. And it was my understanding that it was frowned upon at first. Did not, Vince didn't care for it. It was like, oh, come on, that's too much.
I don't think Vince is the one that disliked it. Vince is the guy that wrestled God on the way to facing Shawn Michaels, so I don't think he had a problem with it. I do believe that they had an issue getting the lighting rig and the tower that lowered him out of Shawn's bedroom at home in order to put it up in the arena so that he could use it for an entrance here, because he was using it on a daily basis at home, and it just was a lot of work to get into the arena.
It does. That makes sense.
I don't know, to do this, it all fit, perfectly. And so I think everybody knew my story, and clearly they knew the Undertaker, and I think at this time they certainly knew the respect and the history between us. So it sort of reflected the basic yin and yang of what it was he and I have sort of done in the WWE over the last 25 years, I think, at this point.
I was just going to say, I think, at this point, everyone's in tune with the internet. Everybody knows everything. So there was Shawn, your backstory, your everything that you had gone through in your life that's got you to that point. Obviously, I'm the specter of darkness and evil. I mean, I think it resonated so well with people because they did know your story so well. And just the history of the two characters, and I don't know, man. It just it always seemed like a great idea talking about it, but when it came out, when we actually did it, it was just like, that's freaking money. That's so good. It fits so well.
The three of us here, we've always sort of, you have a discussion. We have these sort of major, places we want to go within the match. I always sort of refer to as like little signposts of, up, down, this way, that way, the different, directions we want to go and the big story points we want to hit, almost like someone who, writes a speech and they've got their bullet points, so to speak. But then everything else in between, we just have always kind of felt and sort of went at our own pace as we all felt led to do. I do know that at about 25 minutes, we were informed that we, had X amount of time left, and we both sort of let the referee know that we're not even a quarter way done, so you might as well just turn that little bad boy off. We're going to be here a while. So,
Yeah. I think obviously by now we realize that we're into something really special. I know, Paul, you were Triple H, and Shawn, you were Shawn. You were the showstopper, and so all I had to worry about is being Undertaker, and you didn't have to worry about thinking for the other guy, and especially in these four matches. And that was one of the things that I thought helped make those matches so good, is that all you had to go out and do is what you knew to do, and you didn't have to worry about thinking for the other guy or what the other guy was going to do or what his timing may be like. Where and a lot of times when you work with people, you got to kind of, okay, come on, take them by the hand. All right, we're going to go over here. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And that was, that was one of the biggest things that I enjoyed, is just going out and doing the art and having a good time.
I think that art of being able to just react off of the other person and know that that other person will react off of you makes it magic. It's like musicians riffing off of each other and just creating magic live in a moment that you can't replicate anyplace else. And to me, that was always the magic of all of us when we did have that opportunity to step in the ring together. You I didn't necessarily know what Shawn was going to do or what Taker was going to do. I had an idea of it, but a lot of times their reactions would be so much better even than I could react so much bigger off of what that was. And it just sort of happened. Like Shawn said, you put the big beats together, the emotionality of where you're trying to get to, and then let the rest of it just fill itself in. But I sat backstage, and obviously I still had to perform later, but I'm watching this go down. I remember sitting on a trainer's table, taping my fist, and I don't even know if you guys were maybe a quarter of the way into the match. And Randy Orton walked by me and he said, "How's that going?" And I said, "Dude, like, because we had to follow it." And I said, "This is the holy." We're just like, I don't even know if you want to watch it. Like, we should just, like, doesn't matter what we do. It was just so good. And the longer it went, the more it just kept getting better and better, and not to take away the physicality of it, but the emotion of it. Just the story that was being told was just riveting and captivating. And when you're into it as deep as we are, but you're on the edge of your seat for every single thing that's happening, and
Yeah.
knowing where they're going, but thinking like, well, maybe they're not. I don't know. Jesus, now I'm not sure. Like that, they had me.
Yeah, and that's probably the biggest compliment that you can get, I think, when you have somebody, obviously that's been around 6 decades like Triple H, and uh, well, but to have your peers, sit back and watch and kind of give you that kind of pat was, it's just amazing. And I look back so fondly on that whole, those 4 matches.
Come on, I want to stop this. Don't do this. I'm gonna stop this right now.
Yeah, so right here, and nah, not so much. That was supposed to be my safety net there, the cameraman, and what is it? You had one job. You had one job, and
Oops.
he wasn't there.
Well,
Right? So
yeah,
that,
and I always have to say, guys, part of me felt really bad about that because, you want to let a guy that's a very important role, and you want to let that guy be able to get himself where you can. And so I didn't realize I should have just pushed him and held him in the way. But I figured the more you can bring him into position and let him take it from there, the better. And of course, you see that happening. I can remember that I was just thinking like, oh God, is he okay?
yeah,
And the thing is,
it was.
I know Mark wants to know he's going to continue anyway, but is he okay? But yeah, that was a pretty scary moment for sure.
Yeah, when I hit and I rolled over, like, I was a little dinged up. The stadium was kind of spinning around a little bit, and I'm trying to assess like if my fingers are moving, and because I got a pretty good stinger, and uh, finally finally I heard the count at about, I don't know, it was like 7 or 8, and then everything kind of came flooding back to me, and I was thinking to myself like, all right, we got through that. There's if we got through that, and I'm still able to go, and this is going to be, this match is destined to turn out the way it was supposed to, because that lawn dart move was I don't recommend it at all.
I remember seeing it running the headset, because I was in the trainer's room, running the headset that they have there next to the monitor for the doctors, and just asking if he's okay and not getting answers right away, and then looking at him getting up and thinking, oh God, he's pissed. Like, he is just pissed. Like, if he's not okay, it's about to get really bad for everybody.
Yeah, it was. I mean, you just thank goodness that everything else is going so well. Because if it had been, if the match itself had been going in any way, Snooker might not have made it out that night.
That's what I was going to say. Is like, thank goodness it all went the way it did, and your focus was turned to something else. I think everybody's better off for that.
Yeah, absolutely. It would have been. It would have been a long, long night.
If I was him, I would have already been halfway to the airport by the time you made it back in the ring. If I'm watching that classic, at ringside and I got one spot to do and I whiff on it, I'm in the car driving before you get up.
Yeah, that was your spot, Shawn. That was really good.
Nobody comes out of that tombstone, and then no one gets that reaction when they do. And he saved that for a particular time and a particular person over 30 years for it to get the impact that it got there. If that is something Mark had done numerous times throughout 30 years with different people, it wouldn't have been the same.
It's sort of that immediate satisfaction society that we live in of like, I want those reactions and I want them now. With those two in that match, in that moment where he kicks out of that first tombstone pile driver, you got, 30, 25 years at that point or whatever it is, of build to that one moment. Not a couple of years, not I've been on TV for 6 months and I haven't let anybody kick out of this. This is going to blow the roof off. They don't know what that means.
At least everybody in this generation is making sure my finish is still protected. So.
Oh my gosh!
You were the DDT man. Of the millennial era, yeah.
Yeah. Oh my goodness!
I mean, your finish right now comes right after the lockup. I obviously knew right away we had done something really special. In fact, probably 20 minutes earlier into this match, there was a spot where, we're both in a double cell and we look at each other and we said, we got him. And we did.
Yeah.
And even with everything that's going on and in the heat of the moment, and there's 70,000 people there. It's just that look. It's like, yeah, we got him. And it was so much fun. But yeah, we knew as I'm laying there after the 1, 2, 3 there, I know that I was just in something that was, it's going to stand the test of time. And it's kind of hard at that point because I want to get over there and hug the little something because we just tore it down and. We had to wait and kind of contain all that till we got to the back. But it was phenomenal. What a feeling! I mean, it was just perfect that night, and even the screw up helped the story move along. And man, it was what a special moment.
I think I'm cute. I know I'm sexy. I've got the looks.
I think the biggest pressure is following what we did the year before. To be perfectly honest, and it went so good the year before, but that I think we were able to convince a lot of people, well, if anybody was going to beat the streak, it might be Shawn, and we don't think he's ready to retire. It's close. So again, there was just the greatest thing about this business is you only need just a slim sliver of doubt in our audience.
My perspective on this is one, yes, you're worried about what you did last year and putting it on the same level. The biggest amount of pressure, though, is knowing that you're having the last match of probably one of the greatest, if not the greatest, in-ring performer of all time, and that's your responsibility to make sure that he goes out uh, in a fitting manner. So, needless to say, yeah, my ass was a little puckered for this one, more so than the first one, uh, just because I felt the weight of having to give Shawn, you know, what he deserved on the way out, and like that was the only thing really is like you got this responsibility.
It's like being in a band where you put out the greatest album of all time, and now what's that next album going to be? How long does it take you to get into it when the first track starts and all that stuff? To me, the trickiest part, the most hair-raising part to me in this kind of situation is those first few moments when you saw them standing there facing off with each other. It's how quickly can you get them back into this? And to me, what the art of this one was, probably within the first minute or two of this match, I was already back at the first one, at the tail end of it, biting on the entire story that they gave me in that first one and already hooked into the second one of it. And that was the magic of it to me. If they get him in these first couple of minutes, they got him.
It never would have dawned on me that Mark was feeling pressure on himself to make sure my last one went really well. Even though that's the only thing I could think about when I worked with Flair. But in my mind, to think that Mark's going to feel, you know what I mean? I just because I see us, we're just so we're peers and we're on such an even scale, and so I guess it just never even dawned on me to I don't know to consider that, and I was so worried again, just wanting for us to follow what we did the year before, and for me after that first one, as I've mentioned to people, countless times, that was the first time I ever came back from the ring. And, we were talking about both of us laying there at the end and when we went back and that release of emotions, that's the thing. I had this release and then getting to, sit there quietly in this room with Mark. And for me, there was just such a sense of peace about that. I just thought, I don't know. I don't know if it gets any better than that. And so again, I guess for me, that's all I could really think about was I was on the brink of actually being okay with walking away from this. So you've got that going on one side of your head, and then obviously when it's time to go to work, all I could do is think about us making sure we, tied or did a little bit, better than the year before and told a different but just as epic of story. And like I said, I it's not till years later that I when I hear Mark talk and do interviews and stuff about like, gosh, I'm sorry, I never considered it from your perspective, and I mean, and I hope I hope I did make it harder, you know what I mean, and and for me also, again, knowing where we were going to go and me having another role later on and going to enhance that. I don't know, like I said, so I'm an emotional dude. So like I said, me now at this point in my life and where I'm at, I got so much stuff going on in my head and all mine's about, lovey, touchy feely with these dudes. Cause this is the greatest thing in the world for me. You know what I mean? I get to do all of this with my friends and two guys that I've spent more time on, up and down and everything else of my life with than I think anybody. And so for me, all that coming together was just a very surreal experience all together with me. It was the most amazing I don't know. To me, I got the storybook, everything for my wrestling career, and I don't know. Again, so I can weep like a little girl for heaven's sakes when I think about it too much.
There's so much storytelling going on here, and so many levels that this match is getting out of the Undertaker that you've never seen. It's like you can see the mutual respect, and then all the stuff that happened prior to, I think all that was completely organic. The you know I was going to leave the ring, give Shawn the ring, then I come back. All that, I think, that just happened. Yeah, we didn't plan any of that, right? That just happened.
No, well, look, it is, and you're also so look. We talk about emotion, and again, and it's going to happen in you know in the one with Taker and Triple H special referee. There is no there's no wrestling business to in this whatever you call it sequel. There's no wrestling business in this for me. It is absolutely all of it real life stuff. Again, two guys that I spent again my entire adult life with, that for good and bad. Again, I'm weak now, good, bad, ugly. They have seen me in every state. They have tried to pull me out of that. Have done it. Now we're all, different, grown, wiser, um, and now we're getting to do this. This conglomeration of unbelievable, epic storytelling in the job that we dreamt of doing since we were little, and now we're getting to do it with one another. And you get the respect and the admiration and the love of your friends and the people that you want it from most in the world, other than your wife and children, and that's all happening on TV in front of the world. So for me, it's real easy to lose myself and give myself over to that because there's nothing not real about it. And so for me, that's doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah. So look, the one thing on this that I'll say is this is trying to come off what I consider two of the greatest matches ever in the history of the business. In a little bit of a sense, if we're going to make it to 4, you got to put a little bit of a reset on this thing. If you draw the line of this has to be Shawn and Taker, it can't be. I'm not Shawn, and I'm not, you know what I mean, and I mean that in the greatest way possible. I can't do what he can do, and we are gonna tell a different story, but our story has to be different. But it has to continue that the storytelling and the down the line lineage of what they've done, and that's really what the challenge is here for me. Is like, holy, how do you follow that? And look, let's be honest. If it doesn't follow it, it ain't on tape. Right?
Well,
we changed one of the pieces on the board, right? And something changed and it didn't work. And I really was trying to get to that fourth one. So there's a moment here in all of this where it's just the pressure of, and I don't want this to sound like woe is me, the pressure of trying to live up to what Shawn said and what Mark said about two guys that you care about in this business more than anybody and their history and their lineage. And I want to make sure that continues on and that I'm not drafting off of it.
Triple H and Shawn Michaels being, such great friends. And now I've just retired. I've just retired Shawn, and now his friends come. This stuff is just so good. And to your credit, yeah, if you had tried to have done anything other than being who you were, it wouldn't have. It doesn't work. I mean, just because your
Yeah.
styles and the two matches prior helps this thing be. I mean, it had to be violent because this is a personal issue for you.
Yes.
I've taken your best friend. I've taken your best friend out, and now, I think you're taking exception to it.
Every one of them was a 10 across the board in their role. You know what I mean? To be what it was, and that's what made the entire set freaking phenomenal.
Yeah.
That
No, absolutely.
every chapter was done perfectly.
Yeah, you have to judge the whole album, right? You can't just look at each individual song. They all have to be great, the songs, but when you then get to the entire album, you go, Jesus, that was unbelievable.
Now the steel chair.
When you're hitting somebody and you know they want you to hit them this hard, and you're hitting them and thinking, dude, I'm so sorry. But it is what it is, And I'll also
less?
say the one thing that, yeah, like anything less, he's going to hit me when I get in the back. So I know I'd rather do it out there, but we're getting older. We're wrestling less. Both you and I, Mark, at this point in time are wrestling a couple times a year. It's difficult.
Yeah, really. That's really understated how difficult it is to perform at this level without reps, all the reps of going through the year. And it becomes, it gets harder and harder every year to try and draw on that timing and those little instincts and, and your body. I saw your dad in the background. You're trying to get every ounce of what you have physically out.
I'm way too much of a wuss for that. I mean, that's the thing. It was always amazing to me is that you guys could come in there a couple times and just freaking tear the house down, have it be that physical on your bodies, and not make it look like you missed a step, which is an art in and of itself because it's unbelievably difficult to do.
I was going to say, I don't know if you remember, after we got backstage, I couldn't move. I was physically, I was physically shot, and it took me hours to get out of the building that night because I was just I was done, and it took a while to recover. But this is also go ahead.
Yeah, look, I remember us talking backstage afterwards, and I remember you going to your locker room, and I remember coming in there to see you, and you were laying on the floor, and I'd never seen you like that.
Yeah. I mean, I was shocked. I couldn't move. I mean, my body was, I don't know, my body was in shock, whatever. But it took a real concerted effort that night to get me out of the arena, or out of the stadium. Here's the finish that we had to fight for.
This was the arc for 12 months later is, he wins the war by the skin of his teeth by choking me out and putting me to sleep while I've got a gun in my hand ready to put him down for the last time. And then me walking out and him getting carried out for the first time in his career, like him not being able to leave the ring, probably for a shoot, on his own 2 feet and having to get carted out.
Did we have to fight for this finish or what?
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh, did we have to fight? Oh my goodness.
All day.
All day long did we have to fight for this finish.
I was, even when we were getting ready to walk out there, I was still waiting for somebody to come to us last second and tell us, don't do that at the end. Because it was so down to the wire of us fighting for that finish, but it told the story that we had burnt in our heads of where we wanted to get to with this thing, and it needed to happen that way.
Yeah, just I mean, it was. I think it was really a vital part of the fourth one. Obviously, for 26 years, 27 years, he's
Yeah.
always walked out. This is what brings this is the motivation. Is like I can't live with myself because I couldn't walk out. Yeah, I got my hand raised, but in my eyes, I lost that match. He walked out. Triple H walked out on his own power, and I couldn't, and that ate me up. And that was the whole gist for bringing back for the fourth one. And
That was the whole premise
man,
of
I'm
it.
just
Yeah.
yeah. You know what? I tell you, if it wasn't probably the two of us, being so steadfast and believing in that, it was it would have been it probably wouldn't have happened. And, that was just one of those moments when it's the right thing.
It was a pivotal moment. Yeah.
Did this match have to happen in a cell?
I think it did. Yeah, I think it did. There's if you just historically look back on it, he and Shawn had what I still consider the greatest Hell in a Cell match from the overall match standpoint. He and Shawn did in the very first one, and it launched that entire brand. We have a pay-per-view based on an entire brand based on that one match that they had. More than 3/4 of the matches of Hell in the Cell matches were featured either with him or with me in them.
Yeah.
And so it all played into this one huge story. All of this stuff. Shawn is the referee. How's he gonna call this? He's gonna take revenge against Taker. Is he going to go the other way? There's so much. Every moment of this, to me, played into the story from the setup to the type of match to the referee to every moment in here tells a story, and you can almost look back, and even if you didn't see it in the moment, you can almost look back like some kind of Easter egg thing and go like, oh my God, I didn't even see they were telling that story there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, the physicality of the first one, again, as physical as it was, as much as you guys beat the tar out of each other, you have to up, the intensity has to be taken up the next year. And obviously, nothing says that like Hell in a Cell, right?
And you end it! End it! Or I will! Please, come on. Don't stop it. Don't stop it. Do not stop it.
In this moment where I'm about to wear him out in the chair, there's a distinct moment in my head as I hit him, and I know how hard I'm hitting him, and I know what he wants me to do and everything else. But there's a moment as I'm hitting him when I hear Shawn go, you guys are killing each other. For real. Like, I know the difference between him really talking to me and really, and being in character. And he was really talking to me as, you guys are going to kill each other. And it just resonated in my head of like, holy shit, am I going too far? And then I was like, no, this is what he wants me to do. Like, and I just had to dial back in. But we were so deep emotionally in this point. It was just crazy, reliving it.
It sounds weird, but it's almost real life. I think we're so entrenched at this point. It really is. And it's just so good.
So what it is to me is, okay, so it's that thing where I don't know if it's overwhelming, unsafe love or just bad crazy, because I'm just telling you that it was just I've never seen anyone get hit that hard, and they beat the living out of each other, and they wanted each other to.
20 feet of courage. The gang makes his way up.
There it is.
Greatest right here, false finish of all time. I don't care. I may be conceded. That's the greatest false finish ever.
Shawn's sell is the money right here, because we're both dead.
Yeah.
But like Shawn sells this whole thing for us.
Yep.
But this is one of those moments too, where as good as this feels in there with this crowd and everything else, when you watch this back, I didn't know what Shawn did in that moment. I'm busy selling, and
Yeah. Oh,
you
not in
know,
the
and
moment,
you're busy
right?
selling.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's not until later where you watch it back and go, that's 10 times better than I thought it was.
Everybody's working for everybody else. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, you know, I don't feel the need in any four of these matches that I got to look out. I got to watch my. I got to take care of myself. You know, because there's that trust level, and everybody's so invested. And it's at this point, 4 years into this, so everyone is so invested in this story between the three of us. Like it's like, okay, what can I do? What else can I do for you that's going to make this story even, you know, even richer and thicker? And it's, I mean, that's just to have that alone is worth its weight in gold.
It is. Look, you guys know it as well as I do. It is a that is a three-way love and respect fest. You know, for one another.
Yep.
I mean that is what all of us are doing with each other, which is, you know, this is our moment for all three of us who have been through so much with one another, and again, and with this line of work. What's the best way we can, you know, show that love and appreciation to one another, you know, in front of the world. And this is us doing that, you know, and that whole thing was, you know, all four of them the entire time.
Look, Shawn can't even look. I'm not to cut you off, but
Right.
look, he can't even look. And so,
Yep.
those are little things that people are like, well, okay, he wouldn't look, but it means so much to the story. Gosh, dang.
Yeah, and we never. It's the art of it too. Is that ain't we talked about? We never talked about Shawn can't watch his
Any of
best
that.
friend get shot. We didn't talk about it. What we talk here's one of my favorite memories of this, aside of everything else, is us. You know, the putting this finish sequence together, right? The
Right.
end of this and wanting to. I can't remember. We kept joking about it. What's the emotionality of it? Right? Is that was we kept saying the emotionality. Once we got the emotion of the finish down, where we wanted to go, I remember it being like we had nothing. Then we started to get the emotion, and we put the finish together. We all went through it like 2 or 3 times. I felt like we were all actually emotional talking about it. And then there was a moment where like, okay, that's good. We're done. We separated. The next day we went through it one time. It was day of. And I remember looking at you and saying, all right, well, that's the end. And that's a fairly long sequence. But you want to talk about the rest of it? Because we hadn't discussed anything. And you said, I don't know, you want to just call it out there? And I was like, okay. Like it was music to my ears. Like, hell yeah, let's. You know, I think if anything, that gave me more confidence going into it than anything. Of like, yeah, let's just go do this, man. Let's just go out there and have this match.
Yeah. The table has already been set. Let's just go out and do what we do. And and this right here, this all totally organic.
Gets what it's his.
I say it all the time in interviews. This is the realest moment in my career.
Absolutely. Absolutely, by far. Look at, I'm looking around like, because at that point I'm thinking, okay, maybe that's it for me. You know, and we just put a lid on a 4-year unbelievable story, and I have so much respect for, you know, you guys, man. That man, I honestly, I get emotional. You know, when I see that picture, I have that picture you did for us, Paul, and it's when you come down the stairs of my gym. That's the last thing that I see, and I don't. There's not a day that I don't walk down those steps that I don't stop and look at that and think, you know, that right there may be the greatest moment in my career and most proud. And
me too.
don't do it. I don't do it enough, but I just want to thank you guys, honestly, because I don't think it happens
Dude,
with
thank
two other
you.
guys.
Thank you
So
both,
good.
and
You
it
guys,
was my pleasure.
yep. Well, mine too, and it is. You guys are the two of you are the single reason that I was able to be okay. You know what I mean? To get okay, and then to be able to have the opportunity to come back and change it and do it different and get to go off in the absolute greatest scenario, certainly that this guy in this heart could ever have. Can't speak for anybody else, but for me, touched every base, dotted every I, crossed every T, and got to do it with, easily, again, keep the waterworks from going. The two most important people in that locker room for the last 30 years of my life. So thank you.
Yeah, really, no, thank you. It was like you got to. It was basically you got to walk out and say, follow that. It was like, you know what I mean? It's like follow that, right? It's like, and you left way man. I tell people all the time in interviews, like I envy the fact that you were able to walk away when you did, because there was obviously a lot of gas left in the tank, and to walk away and be so peaceful, and I've always admired that and been a little jealous.
Well, but I even think about, but to come back and again in the supporting role and have that go so wonderfully for you two, you know what I mean, and for that entire story, you know what I mean. It's I don't know. Like I said, it was just for me the entire thing. Again, to even getting to be a part of that last one, to be a little bit of the linchpin, the little connection between the two, is again just I don't know. It's a small but unbelievably fun, enjoyable, significant part that brings the whole thing together. That's freaking awesome. You know what I mean? To get to be able to do that on top of the other stuff. It's and again with the same two guys. That's unheard of in this line of work, I think. And so, like I said, for me, it's just the greatest thing ever.
I concur. There it is, guys. WrestleMania 25, 26, 27, 28, with two of the greatest legends that ever stepped foot in the ring. Man, one of the greatest stories ever told, and so proud that I got to share it with these guys. And that's how it went down.